Hey, everybody, Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast, and I'm going to be kicking the ball over to John, Randall, and I in just a few minutes here. I will say this episode's on the short and sweet side, both in the intro here and on the conversation, just about 15 minutes or so, kind of leaning off some of the Pikmin and Nintendo stuff that we were talking last week. I just started up my new job, actually, the day that we recorded this Save It for the Cast, or the proper episode that it's from. I had my second interview at this orthodontist office, and I actually just started working there over the last couple weeks. I actually have 4 different locations, so I've been bouncing around 3 of those 4 locations. I still haven't been out to one of them yet, and of course, I've been going to the one that's the furthest away from me the most, but nonetheless, and because of that, my brain's been a little bit on overload doing the training and learning all these new systems and computer stuff going on at the office and just trying to keep everything straight. So my brain's been a little bit on overload, but I've been continuing to play some more Pikmin 4. I'm going to kind of not really talk about that here because we're going to talk about it a little bit more in the Save It for the Cast conversation coming up here in just a few minutes. And then also I'm going to be talking about it even more next week. I've gotten into some of the night expeditions and just some of the other various new things that I hadn't come across yet. So just kind of continuing on from that next week, which we have that recorded already. But I really haven't been doing a ton of other gaming outside of Pikmin 4, other than the fact that I did go over to my cousin's house the other day. One of the 4 offices, or one of the 3 that I've been going to, is actually right around the corner from my cousin's house. So my younger cousin Drew always gets excited when I come over. It's my cousin's son, so sort of like my nephew. I've talked about him and gaming with him and stuff on the podcast numerous times now. But they got an Xbox Series S, I think is the one that doesn't have the disc. The lower model of the 2, I believe, is the S, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, we were playing some, he was mostly watching him play Rocket League. We were trying to figure out how to log on and play 2 players, because I know DJ and I used to play split screen on Switch all the time, but for whatever reason, maybe now that it's free to play, maybe you got to log into your account. We were like, okay, we're not going to jump through all these hoops. So I watched him play some random tournaments on there, and actually I played just a couple quick runs. He was like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom, can you play for me so we don't get kicked out of this tournament? So I'd play for a few minutes, and I was like, man, I really cannot hang in Rocket League anymore. Not that I was ever that great, but I really kind of have lost my touch. I thought I was going to kind of show him some moves, and not quite so. I'm looking forward. I just sent him a friend request, and I'm looking forward to hopefully actually getting back on that and playing online here and there. But we also, they bought, not Game Pass, but there's a separate EA Play, I think it's called. I'm not 100% sure, but they got the EA package that lets you play. They're mostly into the sports games like Madden, and he loves the Mario games and stuff like that too on Switch. But yeah, they kind of were okay, we're getting this mostly for the sports games, because on Switch you don't really have quite the level of, it's not quite the same caliber of game on the Switch platform for most sports games. I can't speak for every single one, but we ended up playing a few games of FIFA and a few games of NHL. I think it was 24, maybe it was 23, because I think the way this EA Play package works, you get a limited amount of time with the most current release of whatever sport game, but or Madden or whatever, and then you can play as all the old ones as much as you want. And I think you even get other EA games outside of the sports and stuff. So I'm kind of looking forward to hopefully, next time I go over there, I have another training shift over in the office right by their house next week as well. Although I don't know if they'll be free or not, but if they are, I'm hoping, I saw that they had downloaded Unravel 2 and a few other, there's probably some other co-op EA games that we could check out. So definitely looking forward to checking out some of those. But I will say, as somebody who grew up playing the older EA games, whether it be Madden or NHL or FIFA, I actually played even on Nintendo 64, not even EA games, but International Superstar Soccer. I tend to lean towards, I feel back in the GameCube, PS2, Xbox era, that was the prime era of sports video games, because it was just enough, it still had enough of that video game arcade influence in it, where now they just try a little too hard to make things too realistic. It is kind of cool, in hockey and NHL, it was you can really kind of see it, and maybe you can turn off some of these features. I'm not sure. We were just kind of playing as the standard settings, unless maybe my younger cousin Drew, maybe he tweaks some things, but it kind of you're skating up the ice and you can see all these arrows on every character and where you're going to be passing the puck to and who you're going to be passing it to, and do a, use the right stick to maybe do a lead pass. That might have been more of a FIFA thing. But just where you're aiming, and you can kind of see where's the opening on the goalie. There's a little green sliver. It kind of shows a little almost like a pie chart slice, and then like, okay, the goalie's gonna save it, and like you've really got to aim every last, like it's just a little too complex. Like it's not the same as like, just like I talked about with even stuff like Mario Strikers in the past, like the new one versus the new, both of the more recent Mario Strikers versus like the original GameCube one, where you can just like pass them on a controller, and as long as you're familiar with video games, you can basically say, hey, A passes, B shoots, this is turbo, and there's obviously more complexity to it than that, but you can kind of use those as building blocks and just like get right into the action and start having fun, as opposed to like, okay, this character has this special power and you have to charge this up. And obviously you're not necessarily charging, although I think there are different like meters and stuff like that in FIFA and NHL that kind of give you like different, not necessarily power ups, but just kind of like, I don't know, maybe they're just like challenges that you need to complete. There's all sorts of stuff popping up on the screen. So I do kind of miss that era. Like, I mean, the games look amazing, particularly NHL. FIFA looks great too, but everything just feels a little sluggish. And I don't know if that's like, I remember feeling that way even when they switched, like right when the Madden games started, or right when they started making any of the sports games in like the Xbox 360, PS3 era. I just feel like they kind of lost their luster a little bit. I don't know. They didn't feel as fun. They were more like trying to lean into that sports sim stuff. And I know Randall's more into like that back end stuff on like the NBA 2K stuff. And I can't really speak for the 2K games here, other than the tiny bit I played of like NBA 2K21 or whatever version we all bought on Switch for like $1 or $2 back when it was on sale during like the playoffs in whatever year. But nonetheless, it was definitely a blast, like playing some games with my little cousin, but was a little bit of a bummer, like growing up and having so much fun playing those sports games. I'm like they've lost their luster for me a little bit. And I'm somebody who still really enjoys, watching sports. I don't follow it religiously or really care that much about what team wins. I'm rooting for somebody, but it's not going to ruin my day if anybody wins or loses. But it's a little bit of a bummer that those aren't quite what they used to be, at least in my opinion. But the other stuff that I've been doing, really, again, just because I've been on brain overload lately, and again, apart from playing Pikmin 4, which I'm going to talk some more about next week, but I've also been dipping quite a bit into like the NES games in particular, and kind of all the various Switch Online stuff. But in particular, I've been kind of combing through that NES catalog and like playing some of the, not necessarily hidden gems, but like I always used to kind of think of like those very early NES, like kind of more arcadey games like Balloon Fight, or the kind of like Black Label ones. I forget what they specifically call those. Maybe it is Black Label, but those like original labels that are kind of like the original Mario Brothers game. And I even fired up like Pinball for a little bit. That was actually quite a bit of fun. Pretty impressive. Like really the only thing it's lacking is like obviously playing newer games like Demon's Tilt, where there's like 5 or 10 different subtables and stuff like that, and almost like a bullet hell shmup with projectiles flying all over the place. I mean, obviously it's like lacking some variety in that regard, but for what it is, I mean, I don't know if I would have been stoked to pay $50 for a cartridge for Pinball back in the day, but to fire it up on Switch Online, and it's really fun to like go into that separate. There is one subtable at least that I came across where like it kind of switches to more of like a breakout style gameplay mode where Mario's just like holding the platform above his head and you're just kind of keeping the ball alive as long as you can, trying to rack up some bonus points before you get sent back to the regular table. But everything just feels really smooth and the physics feel really, really nice. It's like pretty impressive for how early, these games are all like early 80s, I think, or, at the very latest mid 80s. But it really, the game that really stood out to me the most is Balloon Fight, because I kind of always played like the kind of more like platformer mode where you're like kind of scrolling. It's kind of interesting that the screen scrolls to the left. And I think that's like the gameplay mode that's usually in like WarioWare or whatever. You're just trying to like survive and go as far as you can while you avoid like the various like flashing spike things in the air or whatever without getting your balloon popped or getting electrocuted or whatever, or getting like gulped by that fish monster at the bottom. But I started playing the other like kind of regular mode as well, which again, I did not realize was the regular mode, where it's more like almost like a Mario Kart battle mode, where you're popping the characters' balloons, and then if they're able to land on like solid ground, they can refill and get back to being airborne. But if you're able to like knock them out on the ground, just run into them or knock out their parachute. Like I was just having a blast playing that game. Like I really love how the physics feel and like how you're like, just frantically like flapping your arms or your wings or whatever to like stay afloat. And get your like, I just love the way the momentum feels in that game. Again, really impressive for like how physicsy and like how tactile that feels, I guess, for like, again, just feathering on one button. And the other game that I've been playing quite a bit of, and I fired up a few other ones that like didn't quite hold up. Like I played some Ice Climber for a minute, and I was like, this I don't love how this feels. Like the way the character like jumps real weighty, like it has like more of like a bubble bobble feel, which I do love that game. But like for whatever reason, Ice Climber just wasn't quite clicking with me. I was also playing some City Connection, which has a cool vibe. You're like driving around on this car and trying to cover all the ground with paint. I couldn't quite figure out the gameplay because I keep running into this like cat that it almost seems like you would do. It's like, it looks like it's holding up a checkered flag to like end the stage, but it seems like I die every time I run into it. But otherwise you're just like throwing oil or paint cans or something at these cop cars and wiping them out. It's more like kind of like Pac-Man style. It's kind of a platformer as well, but like I can't quite figure out what's going on. I'm kind of determined to figure it out because City Connection is like the publisher on a lot of those games from Inin, or they might even be the developer on those games that are published by Inin, like the Wild Guns Reloaded and the Pocky and Rocky Reshrined and the Ninja Savior stuff. Like I always see that name City Connection, so I'm like, oh, that's an actual game from Jellico. Maybe I better check this one out. But it wasn't quite clicking with me. I actually on Super Nintendo played a little Demon's Crest. I actually played a few more levels than I normally play. I love the like look and vibe of that game, but it's just a little bit confusing. Like I'm like, am I supposed to be going here yet? It seems like you're more meant to like explore around that like mode 7 map, which is super cool, but like I just didn't have the patience to dig into that one. But yeah, the other game that I've been playing a little bit of is Clue Land, and for whatever reason on NES that is, and for whatever reason I've had a hard time putting this one down, and it's one that I think I own the cartridge of back in my collecting days. I just feel like I scooped up any reasonably priced first party Nintendo title, but there's a chance that I maybe don't own this one. So regardless, I'm glad that it's on the Switch Online, because I don't know that I would have dusted off my NES and got it all hooked up, especially with my current living situation at the moment and everything kind of packed away still. But I've really been having fun with this one. It takes a little getting used to the control scheme because you're just moving like, you basically move constantly, like you press in one direction in Pac-Man style. You're kind of like, and it's kind of like a Pac-Man style grid maze sort of situation for lack of a comparison, but like your character will keep moving and there's like these little pegs on the ground, like kind of like grid, delineating the grid. And then you can press up, down, left, or right. So if you're moving horizontally left to right, you can basically press up or down and you'll stick your either left or right arm out, depending on which up or down you press. Depending on which button of those you press, to say that more or less idiotically, I guess. But yeah, you basically can hold that down as long as you want, and you'll like kind of hold on to that peg, almost like DK King of Swing style, if you've ever played that game, and you kind of like will rotate around that peg, and then when you let go, then you can like go down another path, and you're just trying to find all like the hidden invisible gems, which will then almost make like it reminds me of Picross a little bit, where you'll kind of make an image. Like the very first stage kind of looks like it just makes like a humanoid sort of figure looking thing. The second one kind of looked like a dinosaur. I don't know. It starts getting pretty tough pretty quick. Like it takes, number one, a little bit of getting used to the controls. You're also able to like shoot. It has like a light shoot 'em up element where you can like shoot and freeze enemies, and then when you run into them, you kind of grab them and you can smash them against the wall for bonus points. But you're also on a timer. Like it's a really, really tough game. I've only made it to the third stage so far, but I'm definitely having a lot of fun with this one. But yeah, I've really only had the mental capacity, apart from, having already had the, gotten the learning curve down with Pikmin 4, because I don't know if I would be able to start that up fresh. Not that it's the most complex game, but there's still a lot going on. But it's been perfect to kind of dip into that. Yeah, it's been fun. It was fun playing some games with my cousin. And then also, yeah, it's been perfect to just dip into these like NES retro games and just get my little gaming arcade fix. I kind of wish Randall was here to talk about, and John too, but Randall, I feel like would have some opinions specifically about some of these games here. So maybe we'll dig into some more retro stuff on a future upcoming episode. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there with the rambling. This ended up being a little longer than I intended on the front end here, but that actually works out perfect because the back half here is going to be a little shorter than usual. But yeah, plenty of Pikmin and Nintendo and Miyamoto talk coming up with John, Randall, and I. And yeah, until next week, we'll catch you then, and take care. That was a fun one.
Dude, like everything you were talking about for I'm just like, God damn it.
It's so good.
I didn't want to get this game because I've got so many things to play, but
I know.
And it's got some beef on the bones too. Like it's not just like a little Pikmin game, but it does have kind of a complex control scheme too, especially because you can customize all your different hotkeys. Like I keep going like, do I want? Right now I have up to swap between characters, but I'm like, do I want up to be the drone? Because it makes sense. Like the drone goes up and flies. Like
right.
I keep like second guessing what's the most intuitive way to put this. But it's so good, man.
Nice.
I'm loving it. And I'm wondering, part of me is wondering, like, I wonder if the difference for me is like with the Nintendo games that haven't hit the mark for me. Like, I wonder if it's because Miyamoto still has his hands really on Pikmin.
Isn't that cool?
Maybe,
like, he's still involved in this series, and I don't know to what extent, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know 100% for sure, but I don't know. He's got to be pushing 80, if not older at this point.
Yeah,
I think he's 70s, maybe?
Because, I mean, when did Mario Brothers come out? Or Zelda, that was like 85 or...
I think that was like 85 in the U.S.
70.
He's only 70?
That's honestly younger than I was thinking. God.
Yeah, so, I would have thought he was like in his 80s.
So, yeah, sure. No, I mean, he was super young.
What a fucking career, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I want to say the original Mario Brothers was more like 82 or 83.
2 or 3 in Japan or something.
Yeah. I mean, he was... apparently a lead on Donkey
Mario
Kong.
Brothers, yeah.
Like yes, he was
1981.
Yep.
Jesus. Okay, so yeah, he's been doing this like literally his whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was 4 years after he joined Nintendo. So like he got hired, worked there for 4 years, and then just made.
I'm just gonna run your company and make all the good games. Just
like you
leave
do.
It to me. Leave it to me, guys.
We're going to give it to this cartoonist over here. He's going to be the one that makes us millions.
He's just going to...
What a legend.
Like, just the fact of history.
Just the fact that Zelda and Pikmin kind of both are like, he's just like, I just liked like going out in the woods and exploring the forest as a kid. And like, this is just a video game, like what I imagined it being like.
Yeah.
It's just so cool, man. But... I do wonder, again, I don't know how much of a hand he still has in the Pikmin games, but I tend to think he maybe has more of a hand in those than like the new Marios or the new Zeldas and stuff.
Yeah, it's more of his baby, that's for sure, at this point.
Yeah, because to me it feels like if Miyamoto wasn't pushing for another Pikmin game, they wouldn't get made. You know,
probably
like
not.
Zelda and Mario, they're going to keep making those no matter what.
Yeah, he was the one that announced... that this game existed on a direct, says Wikipedia.
Yeah, and he doesn't. He only kind of pops up for like the big events. So, but yeah, it feels so good to like. Yeah, I felt burned so many times lately on the AAA Nintendo stuff. It just feels so good to be like, yes, I don't have to just feel like another game I don't really like that. No,
you're right, and it has that DNA. It just feels like another game in that series in a good way. Yeah.
I'm loving the shit out of it, man. So good. Yeah. I'm probably going to end up streaming more of it, too, because it's just so fun. It's such a fun game to just, like, kick back. I feel like hanging out.
It is a good stream game. Yeah, because of the laid-back nature of it to some degree, yeah. Yeah,
I tried to stream my first session in the Discord because I was like, I just feel like hanging it, but I couldn't get the capture card to cooperate. And I was like, I just want to play, so I'm not going to waste more than a half hour here trying to set this up, so...
I'm at 0 deaths so far in 2, and I'm like, I can't. I need to have 1 just so
0 Pikmin deaths.
Yes.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
But I've only done 2 days, which
okay.
But like I've gotten a like just not nobody's died, and I'm like, I can't do this. I need something to break the seal. Just like
too much pressure.
It took me a long time to let it go.
Yes.
In Pikmin 1 and 2. It's just, you're like, nope, I got to keep them all. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, and then the second you lose 1, you're like, right, I can get all 100 wiped in a go and not feel
It's bad. It's fine. As long as I keep a few of each type, I'm good.
That's right.
Dude, yeah, that was the water wraith in Pikmin 2. Where it was just like, oh, cool, you're a steamroller, and when I throw Pikmin into you, they drown. So, cool, great, love this game.
There's some brutal enemies. There's been some cool, like, I legit like. I can't remember the last time I did this. I was running and there was like this like enemy kind of buried under the ground, and when I ran on top of it, it like popped up and did damage to me and kind of it like legit started me. I was like, whoa, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like audibly, not while I was streaming. I was just playing the game on my own. And just like, I don't know. I can't remember I've been like that. The last time I was that into a game where like I was lost in it enough to like be startled for a jump scare, for like a cheap jump scare. Like I should have known.
Pikmin's got a lot of
was
jump
coming.
scares too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I should have
like-
known it was coming, but it's just like all the new items too are really cool. I haven't messed around with them enough, but like it seems like there's some really cool unlockable items that you can use, which then if you have ones that you like, it seems like you can put those on the hotkeys if you're like, okay, I'm always using this like carrot thing that you can like throw and have an enemy eat and kind of like lures them to sleep or something.
Right.
Yep.
Just like, okay, I want that to be on
Pick
my
pick
hotkey.
carrots.
Yeah, the pig picks.
Yes. Okay. See, I never really used the items all that much.
They are plot critical in 2.
Interesting.
Oh.
I don't think I ever used 1 and 2 because I don't think I ever knew that was a mechanic until this game. So, but it has been a while. So, but hey, they retconned the whole plot with Olimar riding on Ochi over here. So,
Yeah.
what do we?
I think
what do
he
we
can
know?
just ride on Ochi in the future. Like I
That's
think
true. That I guess I don't know.
They
Like,
went
the way,
back to Earth in 2. Like Olimar escaped in 1, and then they went back in 2.
Oh yeah, and then they leave again. Yeah, but the way it. Maybe, yeah, because I was still kind of like because I was trying to do that Discord stream, I was like fidgeting with a bunch of stuff while I was getting the thing rolling. So maybe I missed something, but it did kind of frame it. I almost took it as like, this is like a follow up to Pikmin 1 almost. But yeah, I bet you're right, actually. I'm trying to think how Pikmin 3 worked. I thought you were trying to rescue Olimar in that game. I don't remember now.
Maybe Olimar just keeps fucking
Getting
up.
lost, yeah. So he's Princess Peach. He's the Princess Peach of the Pikmin series, but.
God,
Man, it's so good.
I like. There's a line very early on in 2, because the whole thing is just about paying back the debt that the company has.
Oh god.
And like, I think like the ship like says, "Get ready to wake up and generate profit for your corporation."
Whoa. No.
Oh my god, this game rules.
It was such a treat to have the first the first treasure you find in this game is a Game Boy Advance SP, and you're just
Yeah.
like, oh yes,
Yeah.
let's go, Pikmin's back.
I know.
Like, for the most part, they've actually leaned away from like the branded stuff. Like it's always like, you know, it'll kind of look like a.
Duracell was the first one in 2, and
Yeah.
It'll look like a Chewy box or something, but it's like it just says like puppies or something instead of like
nice.
So it's like they're leaning, but because apparently in those new Switch versions they took out all the like it's not a Duracell battery anymore. It's just like some fake battery brand.
Yeah.
Honestly,
So they took out all like the product placement stuff.
that's probably makes it better.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
like I don't
Yep.
need to fucking get a bottle cap with 7-Up on it.
Right. It was just kind of cool because it just felt so like this is so different, you know,
Right.
like to see real world things in a video game, like
Yeah, it makes
represented in their real world
Size.
way.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly.
It makes
But
it so much more like oh, this is Earth. Like what the hell?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, this is like Wall-E. You know, we're in like this wasteland version of Earth where people aren't here anymore.
Where there are burrowing snagrets.
Those are still just as tough as ever, by the way.
Ugh,
But man, I'm loving the shit out of this game.
hell yeah.
Just so good.
That rules.
So good. I'm pumped to play some more. I'm glad you guys are still liking some Zelda too. I'm still one of these days I'm going back, but I'm not going back until I finish Breath of the Wild. That's for sure. Like once if I can get one of these jobs lined up and move out of here and just have a proper place to actually play some video games, man, I'm like that's like the main reason I want to get a job right now.
Yeah.
Other than
fair
to
enough.
obviously have some autonomy on my my life and situation. So
Yeah.
but today I had my my kinesiologist appointment today. Like hands down, I feel the best today that I felt since I had the surgery. Like without question.
Damn.
And even I would say I felt that way even before I went in, and then she did a few adjustments that really helped some. So I'm like, I'm on the right track, man. I feel like I'm
Good.
ready to make another little hurdle here. So
That's fantastic.
Like the drumming last night, like I thought that would kind of beat me up, but I feel actually better after that. So
Ooh.
yeah,
Look at that.
So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Progress.
Yeah, getting
Yes.
things in alignment.
For real.
Hell yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes.
So, heck yeah. What are you guys up to for the rest of the evening/weekend?
I'm gonna sleep. Been kind of
Gotta wake up early in the morning.
A little burnt out.
Same here. Yeah, that interview's at 8:30 in the morning here. Yeah.
And then I'm going to Michigan.
Yes. Yeah. Have a good trip, man.
Yeah.
That should be a ton of fun. You're going with the fam, you said?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Doing our family thing, but I'm going to be working during the day and cooking during the night. So we'll see.
Yeah. And then Randall, you just got some downtime this weekend, I hope, at least.
Yeah. We talked about we might go to one of our local museums.
Nice.
Fiona was saying, like, I want to go to a museum. Like, yeah, I want to go to a museum. Let's do that. We've got some really good ones. Museum of Glass, where they do glass blowing, and History Museum, and there's all that sort of stuff downtown. So.
Yeah. That one. Was it Contemporary Art Museum or whatever it is? Not contemporary art, but shoot. I remember going there with Katie when we were there
in Seattle.
It was like the first thing we did.
Yeah,
when we arrived, it was like they had like the Seahawks, or they had the Super Bowl trophy there, like after the Seahawks won.
Oh,
I can't remember what it was, but
you
it was
probably
like,
went to the EMP, which is now called the Mopop.
Yes. That's the one. Yeah, it had like a bunch of like pop culture stuff, like they had like a David Bowie exhibit or some kind of like music. Yeah, Jimi Hendrix stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool.
But heck yeah,
it's a cool spot.
Yeah, that should be fun for the weekend if you guys end up doing that.
Yeah.
Also, like, I don't know, going to like the museum a million times as a child, like, kind of just made it a regular thing. It's like, it's a thing that people do. And then like growing up being like, I want to go to a museum. It's like just a nice habit to have. Like,
it is.
Right. It doesn't have to be a field trip for school.
No.
I can just dig around and see whatever I want. Maybe I'll learn something today.
Yes.
Yeah, keep an eye on like what exhibits are in town, because there's always something cool rotating in and out of a lot of those places. So
static. It's
Right. Yeah, and then not to mention, they always have a ton of shit on like in the reserves or whatever, and they just like, we're rotating out, putting this on display, taking this down, and
that's like Lauren's
tons of stuff.
Whole thing at the Elmhurst Art Museum is like she does the shows in the McCormick House. And like that's the one that she curates, and then she like just goes through their collection and is like, God damn, they've got really good art. And
what do we want to put out today? This month or whatever.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. Definitely miss it.
I love a regional soda.
Oh yeah,
it does. Whenever I see one, I have to get one. Like as soon as I like heard somebody mention cheer wine, and then I saw one in person, I was like, oh, gotta try this. They're pretty good, a little sugary.
Oh yeah, like
I mean, it's a soda.
They're all garbage, but like they're all like such a specific thing that like people of like that like geographic area like have some nostalgia for. So it's like it's like Moxie up in Maine. Like, it's not good, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Sarsaparilla.
Mm-hmm. I do like me some sarsaparilla, baby. The worst. I feel like I've had to have told you guys about this before, but it's called Kinney. It's like this soda from Malta that, and maybe elsewhere too. But my uncle like brought some one year to a family reunion, and it tasted exactly like bug spray.
Ooh.
It's just like, how you get like a little mist of like that bug spray in your mouth when you're putting it on. It's like,
it's bad.
That's pretty much what it tasted like. I was like, tastes
like DEET.
I don't know. Like, it was terrible. It was terrible. I was like, I don't know how you're trying to drink this, Uncle Al, but quit trying to push this shit on us, man.
So we were having za'atar with naan.
Nice.
Which is, and like we were looking up what like the primary like ingredient is in za'atar. Yeah. And it's sumac. And it's like ground sumac. And I was like,
I don't think I know what either of those things are.
It's like, I think it's an evergreen. But like it kind of did have that like little juniper-esque flavor, or like a pine nut, like how there is just like something that like isn't a regular flavor you encounter in food. And I was like, oh, this is actually really great.
Hell yeah.
that like kind of cooling effect that those like that evergreen kind of flavor has. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like a
like
kind
that
of
a
a
lot.
weird taste.
Yeah.
Brown sumac.